and it let out this blood-curdling, guttural scream.
On the side of the road, he sees a deer carcass and something eating on it, which he thought was a bear. And as the lights hit it, it stood up. And, like, this gives me chills talking about it. He said it stood up and it had the face of a man.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Bigfoots of America podcast show. I'm your host, Bryan Sawyer, coming at you. This is episode 81. And man, I got to tell you, these two gentlemen I met on the NCI show probably a couple of weeks ago. And it struck me that I needed them to have them on my show for a couple of different reasons. First of all, for their knowledge, their backgrounds. They're both cryptid eyewitnesses, and we'll expound on that more as the show goes on. But they're going to bring to the plate the serious side of the cryptid world. You know, I've told so many people out there that the Bigfoot in my area that I've come across, that I've had encounters with, have been, kind of used to people in urban areas. Even my ferry sighting, even though that blew my mind, it was not a bad encounter. It was kind of a shocking encounter. But there is a serious side to this cryptid world. And so for all the eyewitnesses out there, all the people listening in, you need to know when you go out into the woods, you got to be careful. And with that said, we want to go ahead and bring my two guests in. I'm so excited. From the International Dogman Project, we're going to go ahead and bring in Nick Valente first. Hey, Nick, you there?
Hey, Bryan, I'm here. Sound
Cool, man.
good.
Good to see you. Good to see you again. Thanks for taking the time to be on the show. Go ahead and bring in Jay now. Hey, Jay, you there?
Hey, what's up, Bryan? Thanks for having us on.
Yeah. I'll tell you, man. I'm in Michigan. Let's give a little bit of background about me. Nick, I told you the most recent dogman sighting here in Michigan was in Muskegon County on the western coast out there by Grand Rapids. Friend of mine had an eyewitness. She had come out of her camper and saw a dogman walking from like right to left, and then it kind of went behind a tree and then kind of disappeared, whether it ran off, whatever. But that location is south of the original Wexford County sighting up here in the Huron-Manistee National Forest. That's where we have so many dogman sightings and just a history, of cryptid activity. Now, with all that said, let's go ahead and start with you, Nick. Let's get a background. I just want to spread the news about you guys and what you're doing. So, Nick, give us your full background.
Well, I guess you want to do it from when I started and all this stuff?
Yeah, man, that'd be cool. Your story's phenomenal. I love your background in law enforcement because that brings a seriousness to the plate.
Well, background in law enforcement, background in paramilitary. I am a 14 researcher, a field investigator, and I run the International Dogman Project. Something I like to put out to people is that they need to take cryptozoology a little bit more serious than putting on a pair of flippers and flip-flops, taking a pint of water with you and an energy bar and walking into the forest area. I try to get people to think a little bit more serious than that. Cryptozoology is a much maligned science. Where we're looked down upon. People say, "Oh, sure, you saw this, you saw that." That's BS. Well, what Jay and I have always strived to do is to prove or to disprove. In other words, a cryptid. We either try to prove it or to disprove that it actually exists. When I was on the other show with you and the other fellows, I gave you guys a couple of the stories and times where I went north, south, east, and west in the United States, and even over the border into Mexico, looking for cryptids when they've been reported. And, unfortunately, a few times I've had to say that I've disproved, like the chupacabra that we found in Mexico, like the, the Mothman. People didn't, I hate to even mention it because people just don't like it when I tell them the Mothman really doesn't exist.
Okay.
And what I feel he is, it's my opinion though, but through my investigation and the investigation of a lot of other people that I got together with, and we decided that it was actually a sandhill crane, and they follow a pattern of migration, up through West Virginia all the way up to Michigan. So wow. I mean, it's like it's just something that, like I said, to prove or to disprove. Now, as for the Dogman, I had an encounter, not a sighting, an encounter. And actually, I did have 2 other sightings years after the first, encounter. However, that one I couldn't disprove. I've tried, but I've been all over the United States with a team on many occasions, and we went out there when dogmen have been reported, and on a couple of occasions we had to disprove. Like the one in North Carolina where 7 different subjects had reported that they had a dogman at a very popular park and lake area in North Carolina. And I did take my team there, and on the 3rd day we did disprove it. It wasn't a dogman. It was a overly large black bear. Now, black bear usually goes 6 foot 6'1". This one was about 6'7", and it had a misshapen snout. Yeah, he had a misshapen snout. It was very long and torn up, I guess over the years, getting in fights and stuff like that. But bears will stand on their 2 legs, to get a sniff. Mm-hmm. They want to see what's smelling out there. And we actually came face to face with this thing. So in that one instance, I had to disprove that it was a dogman. But there's so many other instances where we've investigated that, it proves that dogman does exist. Now, Jay here, he's a specialist in Sasquatch, even though we both do all the different cryptids. And I'll let him tell you from there.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Brian, I'm 47 years old. I've been doing this about 25 years now. My first encounter was in 2001 on a family piece of property where we do have a family group. We figure anywhere from 6 to 8 from the tracks. You know what I mean? Different sets of tracks. Like I said, 2001, it was with a juvenile. Okay. Coming down we were hunting. It was muzzleloader season, and we were on our way back to the truck, which is about a mile walk. We were about a mile back in the woods, and we get to, my father had an old skidder parked on the side of the trail, the logging road, and I look, and there's a set of eyeballs peeking from behind the front of the skidder, and a big set of amber eyes, and I can identify, I've spent my whole life hunting all around animals, and I had no idea what this thing was. So, I'm looking at this thing, and it disappears back behind the skidder again. So I walk a little bit closer, and all of a sudden this thing sticks its head back out again, then wraps its arm around the front end of the skidder, which would have been its left arm. Okay. And I could see, I was probably 40 feet away. It was up close and personal. I could see the fingers, their hands are people think their hands are the exact same as ours. They are not. I have seen them up close a few times. Okay. Their thumb is kind of turned inward like that.
Oh, wow.
So my theory is that their hands are designed for gripping. You know what I mean? Like that.
Right.
As opposed to wrapping. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, as we're staring at this thing, it pops back behind the skidder again. And all of a sudden, it takes a leap from behind the skidder. There's a log laying horizontal like this towards me. It hits that log. And when it hit that log, the best way I can describe this, Brian, is it propelled itself off the tip of its toes. You know when a human jumps, we squat down, right? We jump and we wait, we kind of throw our arms forward, right? This thing, like I said, propelled itself off the tip of its toes. Okay. It was unbelievable. There was another log laying maybe 15 feet away from it. When it bounced off the first log, hit the second, did the same exact thing, propelled itself behind a tree, poked its head from around the tree, popped back behind the tree, then walked out. And it's standing there staring at me. And this thing was no taller than maybe 4'11", 5 foot, maybe. And I would, with that, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Auburnish brown kind of color.
I love hearing that. All right, great. That's another one. All right, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, not a problem. So it's standing there looking at me doing the typical Sasquatch back and forth, bobbing back and forth. So I wanted to it was dusk. It was starting to get dark out. Okay. So I wanted to get a better look at this thing. So I did raise my muzzleloader, and that's one tip I can give to many people. All people out there that don't know this, you don't point a gun at these things because they do know what they are. Okay. They do know what they are. And I'm lucky this thing was not a full grown adult, because I probably would have been in real deep trouble. I had a single shot. It was a muzzleloader. I mean, come on. It would have done nothing but make it mad. We don't know how thick their bone density is. We don't know how thick their muscle mass is. Just unreal. Very athletic. I mean, just unbelievable. So as soon as I raised that muzzleloader, it darted back behind the tree and it disappeared. Where it went, I don't know. Whether it did the typical Sasquatch lay on the ground and stay, lay still kind of thing, or whether it picked an angle. I know this sounds stupid, but whether it picked an angle that I couldn't see it run away at and use the tree to cover, or wherever the heck it went, I don't know. But it was gone like that.
Do you think, okay, let's hit this real quick. So do you think if you didn't have a muzzle loader, you might have had more of an issue with it?
Not a juvenile. Not a juvenile, no.
Okay.
Maybe if Mama was close. Mama was probably maybe close, but if she'd have been right with the juvenile, I think I probably would have been in trouble. If she'd have been with it, physically with it, I probably wouldn't have raised that rifle.
Okay. Gotcha.
No way.
Yeah, it is. Unless you've got a high caliber, right, guys, and it's coming at you. I think you're in a world of hurt. Hey, Nick, let's go back to you for a second. I want to highlight your Dogman sighting next to a stop sign. Was it the Blue Ridge Mountains or Appalachian? I want the folks at home to hear this one.
It was in New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey. Okay.
Yeah. It was actually in, I guess it's called Watchung Reservation. That's located in Mountainside, New Jersey, and it is actually at the top of a mountain. There's a park area up there. That's where I saw it. And 11:30 at night, pitch dark. My Jeep had something like 500,000 candle power of KC highlighters on it. I had all those big lighters, and I just lit up the area. I was just going home, and as I was coming around that oval, I definitely lit it up.
He worked for Jay Fountain.
All right, not sure where that's coming from.
Yeah,
that was weird.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, you want the story about what happened?
Oh yeah. I know you were with me on the NCI guys, but totally different show, totally different platform.
Right. Well, as I'm coming around the oval to go to one of the side streets, so that I can get back on a street to get home, my lights just lit this thing up, and I'm to find out the next day that it was 7 feet 7 inches tall, because I eyeballed where its head was on the stop sign. The stop sign was 8 feet tall. It was standing there facing off to its left. It was like bladed to my vehicle, and in its right claw hand, it had a piece of a deer, which I did not know at the time.
Wow.
It was just crazy, because it was It was next to a stop sign, but chained to that stop sign was a small child's bike. And I'm thinking maybe it's got part of a human being in its hand there. And that's the only reason why I stopped and totally lit it up with all the lights I had. I got out of the vehicle. I had a 10 millimeter in one hand, bear spray in the other. And as I showed you on the other show, bear spray, always have fun with this. I've got this all over the place, in my cars, all over the house. You never know when you're going to need it. And not only for a dog man or for a Sasquatch, but humans too. In any case, I got out and I wasn't going to shoot this thing. I just wanted to see what was going on. And 3 times it raised its hand up to its mouth and took a chunk. And I was to find out later that that was a part of a deer that it had killed. So it was a hindquarter of a deer, and it was biting on.
And thank goodness. It was a deer and not a kid, man.
It was not a 5-6 second sighting either. I mean, I'm standing here watching this thing chew, and it ignored me, totally ignored me, Brian.
Like you weren't even there.
Yeah, like I wasn't even there. Like, I'm the apex predator, and you can't harm me. You can't do anything to me. Just stood there, did not look at me, did not recognize that I was even there. And I'm
Nope, we lost Nick a little bit.
You lost him.
That's okay. Hopefully we'll get him back. Could
Hopefully, yeah. You want me to go into my second encounter?
Yeah, man. Let's jump back to you. And then there's something else I want to say. So if I forget, remind me, Jay. But yeah, so go ahead. Let's hear your second encounter, and then we'll go back and forth about some of my crazy stuff and see how it correlates. See, I'm newer into this, Jay. Like, I've only been doing this like 3, maybe 4, really 3 years.
Okay.
And there's a reason why I got involved, kind of like I'm an actor here in Detroit and we're having an idea for a TV show. And so that's kind of what we're doing. But with that in mind, when I first started, I never imagined how serious all of this was. You really think, okay, yeah, half these people are crazy. Hey, it's a great, it interests people. It's like UFOs and aliens. People are getting more and more interested in it. Hey, let's try to do a TV show. And that's what we're doing here in Michigan. So yeah, go ahead, Jay, with your second Sasquatch sighting. Hey, good to see you back, Nick.
Yeah, it's 2007. After that 2001 encounter, I kind of ruined my hunting for about 2 years. I wouldn't go back in the woods. It scared me to death. Oh yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, Nick. Oh, we just lost him again.
Lost him again.
Yep.
So good. Yeah, ruined my hunting for 2 years. I wouldn't go back in the woods, even with a weapon. No way. So finally, I worked up the nerve to go back in the woods. It was hunting season. There was a nice 10-point buck I wanted to harvest. So, I walked down. I had some work to do in my tree stand. So I walked down to the tree stand. As I'm working on it, I kind of decided, maybe I won't sit tonight, As I fixed stairs, I decided, maybe I will. Now that I got it fixed, it's still a little bit light out. Maybe I'll see him. So I climbed up into the tree stand, and about 5 minutes later, I heard an ungodly beller. Cross between a scream and a guttural growl. The weirdest sound I've ever heard in my life. And it sent chills right down my spine, goosebumps and all. So I said to myself, it's time to get out of here. So as I'm walking down the stairs, I'm thinking to myself, what was that? What was that? So on my way back to the truck, you follow that logging road, as I was talking about before, right? So as you're going down the logging road, about a quarter mile from the tree stand, there's a pond, a spring, freshwater spring, which actually I think is a lot of the reason they're there. Okay, because of that spring water. And spring water, which attracts the deer, right? Which attracts all the prey. You got good clean water source. So as I'm coming around the bend, I look over to my right in the pond. There's something that looked like a tree standing there about 5 feet into the water. So I'm thinking I'm baffled. I'm thinking to myself, well, I never seen a tree there before. So as I'm walking closer to it, I get about 30 feet away, and all of a sudden this tree turns her hips and looks at me. It was a female Sasquatch. And like I said, about 30 feet away, I had my
Holy.
rifle. Yeah, it immediately sent chills down my spine. I had a 300 Winchester Magnum on my shoulder. Okay, I had a sidearm as well. So as I'm standing there looking at this thing, she's looking at me. She's got breasts. They didn't hang as low as Patty's, but she was big, very big.
Okay.
I'd say probably 8 feet tall.
Wow.
Good 8 for, which is very extremely large for a female. Extremely large. So as she's looking at me, I can see it in her eyes. Okay, she wasn't very happy. You could see the tip of my rifle over the back of my shoulder. Okay, and I see her eyes look at that barrel of that rifle and turn directly back at me. And I'm thinking to myself, this is it, And the look, okay, I want to stress something. She did not speak to me mind speak or anything like that.
Okay.
Nothing like that. It was more of a read I got from her. Okay.
Gotcha.
More of a read that, okay, listen, sir, if you try to yank that weapon off your shoulder, I will get to you first and your day will be done.
Wow.
So needless to say, I didn't try to pull it off my shoulder. She gave me another look like, okay, fair enough. She took one leap, was out of the water, took 3 more leaps and was gone. Now, I went back the next day with 4 buddies, and she was an Auburnish reddish color, Auburnish brown too.
Wow.
Which is interesting. And the thing
I love
is, Brian,
hearing that because here in Michigan, they're usually black or brown. We got a couple
Okay.
of white sightings. And then, the Auburn color ones are rare, like the white ones. So I'm loving this. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So as I went back with 4 buddies the next day. Okay. I wasn't going back there alone. Not a chance. So we went back and we found the scuff marks from where she had jumped. And we measured 63 feet for 3 leaps, which averages out to 21 foot a leap. And that's no BS. 21 foot a leap. So you talk about athleticism. And another thing I want to stress is that people out there, they underestimate the weight of these things. Okay. When you think about it, the tallest man in the world, you ever heard of that guy, Robert Wadlow? It's in the Guinness book.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, Robert Wadlow was 8'11" and he weighed 550 pounds. Right. So picture a Sasquatch that's 8 foot and people are saying, oh, he must have weighed 400 or 500 pounds. No, this thing had to have been all of 800 pounds. All of 800. And I just, people underestimate the weight of these things and the abilities, the athleticism they have is just incredible. Just incredible. And she did something very weird. Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
No, you're hitting the nail on the head. I've got a location by me, guys. And we did an episode on our TV series called The Bigfoot of Michigan. And when I first came upon these tracks, they're 2 inches deep into clay. I've got pictures of them. I could not. And then my eyewitness was like, all right, take your shoes and socks off. I'm like, what? All right. So number 2, 2 inches deep into this clay. I couldn't make a dent at 200 pounds. And I could not stand up on the wet clay bank where these things were standing. And that, so no, you really resonate with me, Jay. They are a different, and we're going to dig into that here in a minute, but they are a different type of creature. They're massive.
Yes, they are.
All of that. And we're going to talk about that in a second, but I want to highlight before I forget, Nick said something that I finally heard somebody say something that I agreed with. And just what I live in the thumb of Michigan, and I've been out almost every week since, this explosion in my brain that, hey, they're real. And I've got eyewitnesses. Then I had my own encounters. And Nick said something he believes, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, on the NCI show, your belief is there could be around 200,000 Sasquatch nationwide and 100,000 dogmen nationwide. And that blows, and I agree with Nick wholeheartedly, that blows apart the theory that there's one Patterson Gimlin Patty out there in the Northwest. And I'm like, man, I got to get you guys on the show.
Yeah, I'm totally with you guys on that one.
Yeah, the whole thing is that's even down from previous years.
Wow.
Because you gotta remember, if you look around with the population of the United States growing, they're putting up more and more housing. They're getting pushed more and more away from their habitats. They're probably dying off because a lot of their food sources are going. So that's probably down from the 1960s even. You gotta figure. I mean, I bet you in the 1960s you had a lot more, and then go back into the 1800s, and well, I hate to say, you probably had a couple million Sasquatch back then. But I mean, everything's down because they're like I said, your food source goes away. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about so I don't know how you say his last name, David Pilates.
Yeah.
Okay. This is an eye-opening book right here. This is documentation of wild men sightings going back to the frontier days. So important for all you non-believers out there. Get this book. But with that said, let's talk about the history of these things, where we think nobody knows for sure, but where we think they might come from, and why are they so heavy? Why is the density of their bones so massive? Buddy mine walked up on one like you, Jay, it was a mother, and he said that thing was as big as a rhino, and it gathered that little one to its chest. He said scared him half to death. So, what are your guys' thoughts on like the history, the connection to Native Americans? What do we know the history of Sasquatch?
Well, first of all, the reason why they weigh so much, I mean, Jay and I both agree. Number one, that gentleman who was 8'11", he had thin skin and skinny bones compared to what a Sasquatch has. Actually, compared to what a grizzly bear has or a polar bear. You got to think about three things. Number one, not only the height, but you got to think about the thickness of their skin. That's number one. Number two, the muscle mass. They don't eat Dunkin' Donuts and cakes and breads and stuff. They eat meat. They live out there in the wilderness. All they're doing all day long is searching for food and shelter, and that's it. So you've got the thickness of their skin, the muscle mass, and then last but not least, the bone thickness. Whereas our bone thickness might be 1.25 inches, theirs is more like 3 to 4 inches around.
Wow.
I mean, just it's huge. Now, to prove it, anybody can just go to a museum of natural history and look at the bones of a grizzly bear. I mean, they have this down here in North Carolina. We have a museum over there. We can go anytime we want. And it's free, by the way, here. In most places, you got to pay to get in, but here it's free. And I take a lot of big advantage of that. But you'll see the structure of a regular bear. I mean, it's enormous. So that's why when people say, "Oh, I shot a 22 at it and I killed it," or a 223, a M16 round or something. No, that's not going to do it. Not unless you hit it in the eye and it goes into the brain.
Gotcha.
You're getting a lucky shot. And these things are moving. How many of you people are going to do that? Are going to be able to defend yourself? The speed at which you can move. And people think, "Oh, they're so big and they can't move." Well, Jay just told you, this thing jumped 21 feet in one shot, and it moves like nobody's business. A dog man, it's heavily muscular, and it's like a wolf. It can maneuver really fast. I mean, you're just undergunned when you're going up against one of these things. So I mean, if you're going out there by yourself or with one or two people, well, at least it's safer, but it's just not good enough. One or two people, I don't believe is good enough. I believe a full team. I like 7. That's how I used to go out there and search for them. And like I told you on the other show, we don't just go in 2-3 miles. I mean, we go in 20 miles, 26, 30 miles into a wooded area, and we stay overnight and, until we find what we find or don't find what we find. And then we, march our way out. But what I prefer using is a 308 with a 200 grain bullet and sidearm, a 10 millimeter Glock with a 200 grain bullet.
Wow.
I mean, at least give myself a fighting chance. And my I showed you before, I carry this bear spray, and people learn how to use it if you're going to buy some. This has to come off first, the white portion, and then you can spray it. And it doesn't just spray straight. It sprays in a conical shot so that it'll get, whatever you're spraying at it. I mean, first of all, if I was faced off with a Dogman or a Sasquatch and they were aggressive, I'd hit them with that first just to see what happens. And then from then on, I think I showed you, Brian, the electronic flashbangs.
Oh yeah. Yes.
I've got several of these. Everybody that goes out there, we chuck a couple of these out there just to disorient them. I mean, the sound from this is deafening. And I'm just wondering if this one's charged because I want to mess with you with it. I guess it's a dead one. Good thing, because it's loud. And you've got 1,200 lumens flashing at you. So, it's you just got to be prepared when you go out there because these things are no joke. And
joke at all.
I keep stressing to people, go to a zoo and take a look at a brown bear or a grizzly bear, 8 feet tall. 8 feet tall, 1,600 pounds, maybe 2,000 pounds, depending on, what part of the country they're from. I mean, these things will tear you up. They're not the kind where you're going to go in a fetal position and cover your head. They're going to bite you. They're going to rip you up.
Rip you limb from limb.
Yeah. Even a black bear can be dangerous. You can play that little possum game with a black bear, maybe, but a brown bear or a grizz, forget about it. They're going to eat you.
Or a polar bear. That's even worse.
Polar bear, yeah. Forget about it. We're talking 12 feet tall now.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you had to call one more aggressive than the other, Sasquatch versus Dogman, and you're standing in front, which would you rather be standing in front of, a Dogman or a Sasquatch, or doesn't it matter? Depends on the individual.
Hey, what do you think? I say I'd rather be in front of a Sasquatch.
Me too. Yeah, definitely.
Dogman
But go ahead, Nick.
Dogman
I was just going to say, but
predator.
Yeah, without a doubt. And people got to remember, there's different types of these Sasquatch too. There's not just one kind. There's many, many types. People think there's just one type of Sasquatch. Not a chance, because I have myself experienced two different types. One down south, one up here. Okay, up here they look more like from what I've experienced anyway. I can't speak for anyone else out there, but what I've experienced up in the Northeast, they look more like an ancient human, maybe. If that makes sense.
Right.
Down south, they look a little more apish.
That's
and they're built. They're a little more. They're built a little different too.
I love it. Like when things correlate. I had an eyewitness in Kentucky I went down and saw, and he said, they were more apish, the ones he saw, and especially if they were younger. He said as they grew older, then they maybe take on more human, but definitely leaning, more towards the ape. Now that's that's fantastic. All right, I want to hit something with you guys. I want to try George Lunsford, Nick, on our NCI show that you were on. He's a wonderful author, and he pulled out some. We're going to talk about Dogman for a second, and he pulled out some information, and I'm trying to find it right now in his book called "Monsters of the World" by George Lunsford, and he talks about possibly Pliny the Elder writing about ancient Dogman tribes in the mountains of India. Now, I know the whole, St. Christopher, I know that whole line, but have you heard of maybe like Dogman just going way back and having historical documentation of Dogman? Have you heard that before, like back in the mountains of India?
Well, the history of it, look at the Himalayas, for instance. You have a Bigfoot over there. They call him, the Himalayan monster. But yeah, Dogman is all over the world. I mean, they're in Australia. I have a group of people that belong to my International Dogman Project, USA. And there's like 49 members that live in Australia. And they have sightings of Dogman over there. They have sightings of Bigfoot over there, and that's all by itself, all the way out there now. So sure. I mean, I've heard of the ones in India. There's not a lot of writings about them. You know, not a lot of people write about them. There's a little bit of information, but there's not a ton. But what information I do have is they do look similar to the ones that we have here in the United States.
Okay, cool. Then probably back then, we call him Dogman now. Is there a difference between, do you think, between Dogman and werewolf? And I know this is cliche terminology, you know, Hollywood, all of that. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Dogman's a dogman all the time. To me, a werewolf is smaller because they turn from human into a werewolf. So, I mean, they might pick up a half inch, maybe an inch of height when they evolve into, you know, they turn into a werewolf. Okay. But a dogman, from everything I've read about them and the people I've spoken to, and I've spoken to some not Native Americans, but First Nation people up in Canada, they all say the same thing, you know, that a dogman is a dogman all the time. So that's the difference. That's the difference that I can spot there.
Gotcha. I'm going to read a little excerpt from George's book, and I think he wrote this. He just put this together so well. It says, human and canine hybrids go as far back as ancient Egypt in 2055 BC with Anubis and many others after that. The Romans had a god that was a human-dog hybrid called Hermanubis in AD 100. The human-dog hybrids are talked about in almost every continent throughout history. Pliny the Elder wrote his account of ancient knowledge about the natural world. He created an encyclopedic book called Natural History around AD 50. And in that book, he talked about a tribe of human dog-like hybrids living in the mountains of India. The heads of dogs and they clothed themselves with the skin of wild beasts. Instead of speaking, they barked, and furnished with claws, they lived by hunting and catching birds. So that he put that together so well. So when I hear stuff like that, I think about the ancient Roman and Greek mythology and like, hey, this is, you know, some of this stuff is not just mythology. This is real historical stuff, and we're able to trace it. And I just kind of think that, you know, in the modern age, so to speak, especially here in the United States, we got so acclimated to pouring our populations into cities for manufacturing. I work for Ford Motor Company. You come to Michigan, almost everybody you know has some kind of connection with the auto industry. So we've poured into all these cities, and we have maybe not forgotten, but just kind of set aside this whole crazy world that's going on out in these forests. And now it's almost like we're revisiting or relearning some of this, especially for, you know, I got two boys. I always say this. One of them's a great kid. He believes whatever I say. My older one is like, come on, Dad. Bigfoot ain't real. Dogman ain't real. You just want something to do as you get older. And I'm like, look, I know you're out there quadding all the time, making all your noise with your guys. Just be careful. Because my thing is if you're going out in the woods, I don't want your whole life to be just damaged by the shock of seeing one of these things. Now, you guys can believe me or not, I never believed in fairies until I had a freaking fairy sighting in my house. And that was part of the things that got me walking down this road was like, hey, my two boys, when they're young, we never sat around watching, you know, Tinkerbell and Peter Pan and all of that. Fairy we played baseball, man. You know, that was the last thing on my radar. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then from there, we had the Cass River Bigfoot sighting here in the thumb of Michigan. And there, all of a sudden, I started to do the show and people just started coming out of the woodwork. And then, Nick, man, it took me a minute because there's something strange. It's almost like you can handle UFOs and possible aliens and Bigfoot, but then you start talking about Dogman, and it's like, what the heck is going on? So with all that said, nobody really knows. And I always want to say that, are these human hybrids? Do they have any human DNA? Are they their own species? Are they hooked to the Neanderthal line? What are your guys' thoughts on all that?
On the Dogman or the Squatch?
Start with Squatch, Jay. Go ahead.
I think they're a species of their own. I think the theory that there's some sort of mountain monkey or ape is crap.
Okay.
I do.
The Gigantopithecus. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's garbage. Absolutely.
Ooh.
Absolutely. I do think there are species on their own. Absolutely. From what I've experienced and from what I've witnessed, yeah, definitely not some sort of ape. That's for sure. That's especially the way, take the Sierra Sounds, for example. Okay, the way they communicate. I know eighth grade apes, yes, they do communicate, but not throwing out verbiage and nouns. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's different. It's way different. And when you take especially like I was saying, the ones up here, they look more like an ancient human. There's something different about these things. It's just a garbage theory as far as I'm concerned. And
Gotcha.
going back to the people thinking these things want to sit around the fire with you, sing kumbaya and all that. That's,
Oh God.
come on, give me a break.
No.
No, not a chance. Not a chance.
It's funny you're saying that. We talked a little bit about this in the green room, and that is one of my concerns as I go around. I travel around Michigan and I interview eyewitnesses, and I'll have those moments where you'll have that fairy tale type story. Oh, I saw one, and really, in my opinion, and Nick really touched on this good. The idea of it is a lot of times it's the eyewitness and how they're looking at this thing. You may be looking at this thing thinking it's a big cuddly teddy bear, but that thing wants to eat you and is saying to you, don't come any closer. And we've got a story here in the Upper Peninsula that a family was four-wheeling through the Upper Peninsula. Now, we're talking here in Michigan, it's two different worlds. You got the Upper Peninsula where only 4% of our human population lives. And then you've got the Lower Peninsula, which of course is more dense with our population, especially around the Detroit metropolitan area. But you get up to that UP and you're out there and you're riding quads and you're making all sorts of noise. Well, this one particular family was just booking through, having a good time with their quads, and all of a sudden they started to see a full clan. Like, they didn't just see one Sasquatch, they started to see basically a full clan of Sasquatch. Well, long story short, one of the guys on the quads decided he's going to pull out, just like Nick said, he's going to pull out his little 22 and take a little shot at one of these things. It did not. Now, this is a former police detective telling me this information. Guy by the name of Val Savala. He is, if not if not the most credible guy here in the state of Michigan. I believe everything he says. He said it did not end well for that family. They left the Bigfoot left the two kids alone, but they pretty much tore apart the adults for shooting at them. And then, as the story goes, now this is heavy. Everybody at home who you're thinking Bigfoot is a big cuddly teddy bear, when the state police came in to clean it up, they found body parts that were gnawed on by these Sasquatch, and supposedly they had to shoot some of these Sasquatch. They didn't get the whole clan, but they got 2 or 3 of them. So, man, that's what I love about you guys on the show. You guys got to reel me in sometimes. I think we have a tendency as humans to always look on the bright side of the coins, the shiny side of the coin. But we have to, without a doubt, be safe. Go out there. Like Nick says, it cracks me up. Don't walk out there with your flip-flops. Where you get a bouquet of flowers to these things, you don't know what you're really coming up against. So
but snakes out there can bite you. You've got insects out there. I mean, my team has taken people out, as I advised you on the other show. We've taken people out, and they say, "Oh yeah, we want to go out into the wilderness and see if we could find things." And all right, and they show up with, like I said, a little bottle of water, energy bar, flip-flops, short pants. I mean, seriously, we let a couple of them come with us, but after like 3 miles, they had to go back, and we just escorted them back in because they were being bitten apart, by bugs. They were being bothered by bugs. I mean, don't go in the wilderness if you're bothered by a bug. They live there. Come on. You see a snake come across in front of you. Okay, it lives there. As long as it's not coming at you, leave it alone. But
I was in the woods last weekend. So just before I got sick, I went out to where I know they are. And I went out there just to kind of look for footprints and see what had happened. The river had come through. We've had kind of torrential downpours here. It tore apart a couple of trees. Some of the riverbank collapsed. I go out there, I'm covered from head to toe in the outdoor sportsman tick spray. I mean, I really get sprayed up. I came out, and 2 days later, I'm at work in the shop, and out crawls a tick out of my backpack. So, and then here in
You're
Michigan,
lucky.
we've got the Lyme disease. You got to watch out for that. It bites a deer and then bites you, and then you're in a
Yeah,
world of hurt.
we've got it
Good
here.
deal.
My wife's got it.
Oh man. All right. Well,
Yeah.
you got my prayers, brother. That is
Thank
heavy. My
you.
girlfriend, my girlfriend went through all that, not fully 100%
Right.
recovered. Another hunter buddy
Yep.
of mine. All right, let's hit one more thing, guys, before we wrap it up. One thing I
Yeah.
noticed, at least here in Michigan, when you believe and you've got the evidence, we're not talking about fairy tales here. Oh, I believe they're here and I can feel their presence. We're talking, and I'm being a little bit harsh because when I met Nick, I'm like, man, I need to get Nick on the show because even I was starting to, shooting this TV series here. I'm like, all right, I'm getting too fluffy with all of this. But trend wise, I noticed that whenever I have 3 locations by me. I know that sounds crazy, but I live in what I call the Bigfoot Triangle here in the thumb of Michigan, and everything correlates to the rivers that go like this. I'll show you guys. There's like these 3 rivers that go like this. And the Sasquatch, there's like 3 clans up and down each river, and it all correlates to fish supply.
Yes.
And I know that's where the game comes in and they fill up with water. And then two nesting spots in particular where we believe they were nesting down, they are on the tributaries that run off of the main river, the Black River and the Cass River. With that trend in mind, is that what you guys kind of find with Dogman and Bigfoot, that they're near the heavier flowing rivers?
Well, yes.
Yes.
That's for sure. Number one, since they are living, breathing things, they need to eat and they need to drink. But it's not just the fish, Brian. You have other animals that need that water also. The deer, rabbits, squirrels. I mean,
Moose.
Bigfoot just doesn't get muscular and big on fish. Right?
No.
Right.
Come on. Jay has a story about a Bigfoot going after a moose and breaking its back.
Yeah.
I mean,
What?
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Okay.
See,
Nick,
I want to drive home the point on this show that just be careful out there. These things are so massive, so powerful. A lady, I just had last week, lady on my show, the thing jumped over her Astro van in the 1980s.
Yeah.
Jumped over
It
the,
is.
like, oh yeah.
That's a
but
big
go
van.
ahead, Jay.
Yeah, they're unreal. So a good buddy of mine, I'm not going to say his name on air, but he lives up in Alberta. Actually, Nick and I interviewed him a couple times. Great guy. He's a veteran. Combat veteran. Great guy. He was out moose hunting. Okay, had a 308, and he's strolling along. He found a spot he wanted to sit. And he was trying to call in some moose. Well, all of a sudden, he gets up. He had to relieve himself. And stands up, and all of a sudden, this moose, this big, massive bull moose, he said must have been at least, 1,500 pounder, big one, comes flying out of the brush. Okay. And he said what was weird was the moose did not even look at him, ran right by him. All of a sudden, in the air, flying out of that wood line, comes a big black Sasquatch. Jumps on the moose, grabs it by the antlers. They go at it. What do you say about? They went out for about 10 minutes. Didn't he say, Nick? About 5-10 minutes. They were pushing each other around, right. Trying to overpower each other. But after a while, that moose got tired, and that Sasquatch slowly dragged him to the ground by the antlers. Walked around, spun around the front of him, like he would. So they were face to face, and he grabbed onto his antlers and snapped its spine. Like lifted up on the antlers like this, and he said you could see the spinal cord go like that.
Oh my gosh!
And he said immediately, this thing got down on the ground. Paid him no mind you. Got down on the ground and opened this thing up with its with one of its fingers. Opened it right up and started. started feeding on it immediately.
You mean like a knife, just slid
right
it open. The hide of the
you got to figure their fingers and their fingernails sharp for
designed
being
for
out
that.
there.
Yeah, sharp for being out there. And go ahead,
right.
Nick. Sorry.
He went right for the vital parts, for the heart,
the
kidneys, liver. That's the first thing they're going to go for. But remember,
absolutely,
what he told us, this thing was like a 15 to 1,800 pound moose, full antlers and everything.
Yes.
And
the Sasquatch, about 9 feet, he said? About 9 foot Sasquatch, he said? Yeah.
Yeah, 9 foot Sasquatch.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big one. It was a big one.
You know, people
Brian,
people just misunderstand. You know, I mean, take a grizzly, for instance, 8 foot tall, how strong these things are. How many times have you said, Jay? It's been proven. They've got it on film. They can go from 0 to 50 miles an hour in 3 seconds.
Yep.
3 seconds. One Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. And people go, oh, no, that's impossible. No, it's possible.
No, it's not.
We're talking about a bear that we know about. They've got this muscle, this power. It's like 12 to 15 times stronger than a human. And not some spinely human, you know, some guy that doesn't lift. We're talking about a guy that actually works out. That's about 200 pounds, you know, and is strong. These things have power in their legs. So when you translate that into a Sasquatch that's like 8, 9, 10 feet tall, Jay, what do you think one of them would weigh? About 15,
I'll give you an example.
2,000 pounds?
The one Stacy saw, Nick, was okay. My wife saw a 10-footer. It's from 6 feet away. Okay, right. She was riding the quad. She went to pick berries, and this thing was laying down in the berry brush. All of a sudden, as she's picking, this thing stands straight up and looks down on her like this. And he comes racing back to the camp. And we were camping down on the land. And she comes back, and she's white as a ghost. And she's a paranormal researcher, mind you, a demonologist. So, and she was scared to death. So she's white as a ghost. I said, "You saw one, didn't you?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Show me where you saw it." So we got up on the 4-wheeler. We rode back down the logging road, had the tape measure. So she showed me the branch that it walked under when it turned around and walked back into the woods. And so I stood up on top of the 4-wheeler. I gave her the end of the tape measure. She held that on the ground, and I pulled the tape measure and stretched as high as I could as I'm on top of the 4-wheeler. And to the bottom of the limb, was 10'6". Okay. And she said that it cleared that by only about 3 inches. So this thing was about 10'3". So to answer your question, Nick, I think that at least 1,500 pounds.
At least.
Without a doubt. At least. She said the forearms were as big around as her legs.
Right.
Oh.
I mean, these things are massive. Brian, I have something, Brian, for your son. You can tell him. Tell him that he needs to go and check his history. There's the Romans, the Lost Legion. They went up against a tribe of dogmen way back when. He's got to look that up in the history. You also, here's something that hits home. I've been to different caves for American Indians here in the United States. I've visited caves where they've been at, and they have drawings in there. They're wonderful painters. They paint on the walls in these caves, and on those caves are painted pictures of dogmen. And there's something else. Both Jay and I are 14 researchers, and we have checked through books upon books upon books, and they say that the dogmen, they actually guard the graveyards of the American Indians.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. And here's one other thing I want to throw out there for you. I mean, your son could look this up if he cares to try. But something I want to mention is that how many tens of thousands of people have reported a dogman sighting, a Sasquatch sighting over the decades? How many people? I couldn't even give you a number. I can give you a number in California, how many people reported from 1995 to 2015. Something like 3,600 people reported Sasquatch sightings. Why do people do it? Why would they do it? For notoriety? For 10 minutes of fame? No. And how many people don't report it because they don't want to be looked upon as a lunatic. You know,
Exactly.
somebody who's crazy, you know?
Totally
I
agree.
mean, there are thousands upon thousands of reports, and at the IDP every week, I get anywhere from 12 to 50 reports in a week.
Yep.
And it's just so
Wow.
hard to check them all out because I have to talk to the people on the phone, talk to them on Facebook, Messenger, maybe do a Facebook Messenger, pod, like we're doing now on the camera.
Right.
Try to interview because I don't want to get these people that are BSing me,
Right.
because they have,
like we have before.
yeah.
Well, I got
we do
one
have
for you. I got
Go
one
ahead.
for you, Nick, and I'll tell you, you're hitting the nail on the head, brother. I'll get a year for you, and we'll make this an official sighting. Carroll, Michigan, at the church I used to attend. I'm friends with the pastors, and I actually I do these shorts called the Dogman Prophecies, and it's what is it, number 3? I'm looking at it right now. A eyewitness was cutting the lawn of the church, okay, the church that I attended, and just trying to keep the line straight, going up and down. Looks up, this is broad daylight now, and there's a dog man. The eyewitness was so scared, didn't know if it was not a good measuring stick for height, but he said probably 7, maybe up to 9 feet. And I know, Nick, you state that they're usually shorter than 9, so 7
Shorter
is
than
probably
8.
what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, and this eyewitness was so scared doing the lines, looks up, see a dogman staring at him, standing in the parking lot of the church, not far from him. Gets scared, looks away for a second. He doesn't know if it ran off or if it just disappeared. We'll leave that alone. But here's the connecting point I'm getting at, Nick. If you could draw a straight line from that church to an Indian burial ground, the Indian Fields on the south side of Carroll, Michigan. And that is amazing that you just said that. And I had another eyewitness that correlated kind of like the same type of creature that they saw. So possibly the same creature seen by 2 eyewitnesses, both in broad daylight. So
Well, it's
fantastic.
something that's been documented in history is the trappers, the fur trappers. They were French fur trappers. They used to go up and down the different rivers and tributaries throughout the United States, in the eastern section and the northeastern section of the United States, up through Michigan. Those are the people and they all used to carry these little notebooks, and they would write in their little diaries about what they saw and what happened. And a lot of them came across these things, these dogmen. And a couple of these guys desecrated Native American graves, and they were hunted down throughout the years, by the dogmen, and they all died horrible deaths. And they had their little diaries. I mean, like I said, if you are a real 14, and I'm not saying the number 14, I'm saying Charles Fort, a 14 researcher, you will go to the little libraries, the little bookstores, you will find these books, and you will go through the different microfilm and microfiche newspapers, from back in the 1800s, and you will see the reports of these things, that it's actually happened in history. People just left a lot of stuff out of the history books because they said, oh, it's too fantastic to put in a history book, but it's for real.
Right.
And like, how do you disclaim all these thousands of people that have reported this over the years?
You can't.
Fantastic.
Let me throw one more thing at you. Now,
Yeah.
the Vikings. Okay, if you do the research on it, Leif Erikson talks about the ogres. Okay,
right.
When he landed in Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, that area. Now, what made the greatest warriors of all time turn around and leave? Good question, right?
Right
what
back
scared
here,
them?
Beowulf, one of my favorite stories.
Yep.
I still think
Grendel
could have been a Bigfoot ogre.
Me too.
Creature.
Me too.
I was going to say ogres. What does it sound like to you, Jay? Sounds like Sasquatch to me.
Sounds like a Sasquatch to me.
They called it an ogre, but a rose by any other name is still a Sasquatch, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, final question, and then we're going to wrap the show. Jay, you mentioned demonology a little bit. We've been talking about historical evidence. I'm a Christian. Hey, is there any correlation to the Genesis 6 possible DNA mixing with the Nephilim, the fallen angels? What are your guys' thought on that? I'm okay if you don't believe it. This is about, we're trying to bring the facts to the people. So what are your thoughts
Yeah,
on a Bible connection to these things?
not for me. No,
Not for me either.
Okay.
no.
Sounds good, man. That's all I need to know, guys. I'll tell you what, I've been chomping at the bit. I couldn't wait to get you guys on. I needed some solid data, just a foundation. When it comes
Yeah,
down to it, any Bigfoot eyewitness, or you can have any belief system you want. For me,
right,
I want people watching my show to be better safe than sorry. And that's why I got you guys
right.
on the show with your knowledge, your common sense approach. And I just appreciate you being here so much. Jay, you can go ahead and start, and then we'll go to Nick. But tell folks at home where they can contact you or get a hold of you, follow you,
Sure,
whatever you want.
sure. You can reach me on Messenger, or Facebook Messenger. Um, email. My email is onthetrail.jf@gmail.com. You can reach me through Nick, just the same. I'll even throw once people contact me, I'll even throw my phone number at them. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And Bryan, if you ever, I will tell you this, if you ever want to have Nick and I back on, we have not even scratched the surface of the things we
Haven't
had
even
to tell you
touched it.
today. We haven't
Nope.
even touched it.
Whenever, yeah, let's do it, man. Because,
Yep.
like I said, I'm a new guy, and I'm not. I don't like know-it-alls. I like people who
Right.
know the facts, and so
Exactly.
I constantly need to be grounded. And I appreciate so much. Nick, where can people? Yeah, you're going to be back on, is what I'm getting at. Nick, go ahead. Where can
Awesome.
people find
Yeah.
you at? Follow you.
Well, like just before I give you that though, there's other things that we research and like lizard man, goat man,
Hmm.
things like that. Yeah, they're out there. But in
They
any
are.
case, I'm on the International Dogman Project USA, but we also have different chapters throughout the entire United States. We have the IDP Europe, IDP UK. We're soon to be opening up Australia, IDP Australia, because there's just so much happening over there. But they can get
Yeah.
me through Messenger, Facebook Messenger, or through Jay. And if you have any messages, all you got to do is give it to me or Jay, and we'll contact each other and we'll pass the messages
Absolutely.
on.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Well, I've got so everybody at home listening, man, if you've got any kind of encounters, sightings, let's get them reported to Nick and Jay. Guys, you're going to have 3 Dogman sightings. I'm going to lock down kind of the general dates of when these sightings happened. No, one was in Muskegon, then 2 here in the Thumb. But I'm going to get that information to you as well. But once again, guys, thanks for being on the Bigfoots of America podcast show. I'm going to go ahead and put you back into the green room, and I will be there in a moment. All right, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in to episode 81 with Nick and Jay. My goodness, Jay Fountain and Nick Valente. Wow. We need these guys. We need these guys doing what they're doing so we get the truth of what's going on out there. All right, and so everybody at home, you can reach us, the Bigfoots of America podcast show. We're on all the social media platforms. Bigfoot of Michigan TV series. If you look over my shoulder, that is our new Bigfoot TV, all things paranormal app. We are now showing on Roku. We hope to be on Apple TV by the end of the year. But that's what we're doing here. We're trying to get a ground level approach to all of this really crazy paranormal cryptid world. Just get a solid understanding of what's going on out there. So everybody at home, thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next episode of the Bigfoots of America podcast show.